Sum of subnets has been hovering around 1, and I just have this feeling something is about to explode. And I've noticed that one particular fund, which does all the revenue searches, which is called DSVFUND, whenever they tweet something or they're allocating money to a certain subnet, the subnet usually pumps. And that's why I had the idea to make a Bittensor DSVFUND tracker that's going to print me out whatever they buy in real time directly into my Discord. Hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to see that it's not so scary messing with Python with zero experience, and you're going to carve out your own edge and your own logic when it comes to subnets, because the possibilities to building stuff on Bittensor are pretty much endless. It's a new ecosystem, and that's why I started this channel, because I think it is the best risk reward play in the whole crypto ecosystem right now. All right, so to start off, obviously I need to give you some basic resources if you have absolutely zero knowledge. So while we wait for Ridge's V1 to come out on October 30th, which is going to be like an AI agent inside of your code editor, which is pretty cool, we're going to use Claude. So just type Claude AI and click the first link. Sign in with your Google account or whatever. It's going to look something like this. It's exactly like ChatGPT. You prompt it and it spits you out the code. Little bonus advice: before you start building any Bittensor related tools, it's pretty important you at least understand what the LLM spits you out as a code, as a basic level. So go to Udemy, subscribe to this course right here, 100 Days of Code by Angela Yu. I only did 8 days and I figured that I had enough knowledge to start building stuff on Bittensor. So if you focus up, it can go by pretty quickly. Then go to jetbrains.com and just download PyCharm. This is going to be your code editor that looks something like this. Usually once they announce that they're invested into a certain subnet, or they allocated some money like you see right here, what do you think happens to the subnet? So if we look at subnet 75 that correlates with the tweet right here, the day that it invested, people started catching up and they just started buying the subnet just because DSVFUND bought it. Look, it doesn't happen every time, but for me, I'm just trying to carve out an edge. I'm not looking for perfections. Actually print me whatever they purchased right here in real time in my private Discord in this channel right here, for me to be able to automatically purchase, that subnet. All right, so the meat and potatoes, how do you actually prompt Claude for him to build you something that works, that doesn't break? Look at the size of my first prompt, guys. So this is actually your anchor prompt. As a beginner, you need to be super specific. You need to give examples, you need to give files, pictures, things of that nature, a maximum amount of information to the bot, and explain precisely what you want so it doesn't hallucinate when it prints you out the code. So I start off by saying that we're only going to scrape X to not cause duplications. This is important for the bot to not do. I then lay out my current goals with a deep amount of precision. I send him, Python files. I send him pictures, starting points, tweet examples, a lot of things for the bot to get context. I also mentioned that, Claude could use my current scraper file as inspiration. So when he spits me out some code, it's a bit more fluent and he has some reference points. I then lay out my chronological goals to Claude. This is super important because when you write Python, it's from top to bottom and everything needs to be synced, everything needs to match. So the bot needs to know chronologically what are you trying to achieve with great amount of detail. So as soon as the fund tweets that they've purchased something or any type of synonym, I want the amount, the subnet name, and the subnet number. And I even give examples how a subnet might be written for the scraper to function more properly, because you can add synonyms and looser scraping logic. And then I want the Bittensor bot to print automatically into my Discord channel the newly updated balances with rankings from the highest USD amount to the lowest USD amount in real time. I also mentioned that I already have a channel ID, I have a Discord bot token, and the permissions are already set up. My Discord developer is already done, so the bot doesn't waste time, doesn't ask you stuff, or doesn't assume things. I mention again that I want a ranking logic, and I give an example of what happens when a subnet, a newly subnet is invested or allocated by the fund and it surpasses another rank. This is important for you guys to precise. And this is just simple things that I knew beforehand. I gave him some guidance on plus equals and minus equals and things of that nature. And that I'm open to the idea as a starting point right here. So I calculated by hand how much they've invested and I gave a printed photo for the bot to be able to save it as a JSON file as a starting anchor point for my rankings. And I also gave a precise print format for the bot. Every time, it prints something into the Discord, it's going to be with this format right here. So keep in mind that usually the first fiat number is the one that, the fund invested in, and it could be written in many possible ways. The scraper needs to know that and add it to the logic. And I also gave a safeguard example as to, when sometimes they say, oh, we just invested 100K, bringing our total to 300K. So the bot needs to be aware that, they didn't invest 400K, but only 100K. I also fed Claude some tweet examples for him to code more properly. And, a summary of what I want to do. And I really want zero hallucination and 100% accuracy. So let's see what the bot prints us when we press enter. So as you can see, because I asked him, ask me any questions before writing code, Claude literally saw my whole prompt and spotted, the little weaknesses instantly and asked me 6 critical questions that I haven't even thought of. This is a real example of how you can improve the code before it even starts writing it. So right now I'm actually figuring out how to distinguish between when DSV tweets that they're investing or is just a random tweet or noise that I don't need. So question number 3, the bot asked me for a mapping and I found it right here. So this is something I would have to provide it to the bot and I'll add it to the code by hand later. Question 4 is just how will the bot trigger? I want it to run 24/7 and to have a manual DSV now command in case I need to test stuff. Question 5, he needs a starting point as to how much DSV is currently invested, and I showed him my created JSON file, with the information there. And we'll see what Claude does in real time. Oh, so you see he has more questions for me. All right, so after the precisions, I'm just, going back and forth with Claude, going over scenarios on how DSVFUND might tweet things to not cause issues and, just some safety backups. I also gave him the subnet categories for him to just make me fill them out by hand. I got him from Tao app right here because we need that for a pie chart. And right here, I ask what is an acceptable request rate to their X profile for me to be able to quickly see if they posted something. I'm trying to see if once per second is something that's going to get me banned. So right now it's just typing the next steps. So right here with this prompt, I'm just optimizing with Claude some error backups, and we have an undo command if ever there's an error. Some filtering commands to be more robust. And, I gave him a mapping of the subnet categories for our pie chart. All right, guys, this is kind of insane. I asked him to explain the whole flow in plain English and it's pretty good. So we're monitoring this page right here. I already have existing scraping code, so he's going to use that. And we're going to add the DSVFUND tag. We're going to check whether they post an investment allocation every 1 minute. And there are going to be 4 filter checks to make sure, that the print statements aren't faulty. And if all 4 pass, the bot is going to print inside of this channel right here, DSV tracker. And then there's the way that the data gets extracted, just with the first dollar amount and the subnet name and the date that it was posted. And I've also prompted a safety backup with 2 different JSON files, so DSV investments and DSV investments backup. And the JSON file is going to be updated automatically. It's going to recalculate the rankings. As you can see, example with Ridges, they invest 100K, boom, they're up to 1.07 million. And it's going to format, the Discord message and post it into the channel. And I've also added manual commands, DSV now to check properly for testing and things of that nature. And DSV undo in case the bot makes an error. I can retype DSV undo and it's going to repost the correct rankings from the JSON backup file. Look at him, guys. So after maybe an hour or 2, I said, okay, yes, I'm ready. And look at it go. This is simply beautiful, guys. Little piece of advice. If you want to learn as Claude is outputting you codes, the section in orange are the main definition and, class functions. And you have a bunch of, different actions and functions nested under them. And, what I like to do, especially when, when I was a complete beginner, I used to say, dissect me the code block by block in plain English, what it does, why is it there, why is it placed there, Here's the full code for context, and it's a Twitter scraper. And then eventually you will form yourself, your self-made Python cheat sheet, but just fine-tuned for Bittensor tools. I mentioned the channel ID, the bot token must, reply into with print statements. And when I fed him the original investment data, it had invested 14 times. So the bot thinks that there's a maximum of 14 rankings, but in theory, there's 128 different subnets. So, I made sure that the bot logic understands that, and there could be potentially 128 different rankings. All right, guys, so super important. As you're coding stuff as a vibe coder, you're going to notice that the chats get pretty heavy, and there is a limit, with any large language model, they're going to tell you to switch chats. So you can make a prompt that looks something like this, making me a full summary from A to Z of what I'm trying to achieve, what we did until now, and what's left for the next chat to fully understand past, present, and future context for you to guide me properly. And then it's going to output you everything that you've done so far, that you're doing now, and that you need to do. And be very careful, read it properly, and correct it if needed. And as you can see, as it was summarizing for the next chat, there was a critical error. The bot actually coded for me in the file right here, DSV system, a scraper that runs every once per 24 hours and only checks the JSON file right here on the right side once per minute, but that is not what I need to do. I want the bot to scrape and check actively all day, every day, once per minute, because I can be late to the information. If DSV tweets on hour 1, I'm not going to get that information for at least another 23 hours. So we need to restart with a new code set, with different logic, and review it again. And don't worry, guys, you're not going to get it from the first time. It's completely normal. Building tools like that takes days. Okay, so after a lot of debugging, I finally decided to make a standalone DSV scraper. It looks something like this. We're effectively going to see if scraping with this current code block works on this Twitter profile. So make sure you're in your virtual environment, that has, the proper imports and installations, and just run this command right here. So it's pretty good. We're making human pauses that are randomized so we don't look like a bot when we do requests to a certain Twitter account. And you see the fetched tweets right here, success, and we kept 20 tweets probably right here in a DSVFUND JSON file. So guys, we officially have a freaking scraper. Good job. And what's pretty cool, if you actually open the DSVFUND JSON file on the left side, you can see the tweets that we're interested in. We've just completed a 100K OTC deal with Synth Data Co. These are the things that we need to properly parse, properly filter, and flags and things of that nature. And guys, as a vibe coder, it is super important for you to understand what you're actually doing and how it works. So you need to go that extra mile and ask, the bot how it works and things of that nature. So right here, I got a bit confused. How did we scrape X without any login information and things of that nature? But I had forgot that I already have a login Python file, which is 9 lines, and it fetches a cookies JSON file. So you need an X burner account, and you just click F12 and you go to this cookie section right here, and you need to input the right information into your cookies JSON file, which is right here. I'm not gonna click it. And then you will be able to scrape X. All right, so guys, after a lot of debugging and a lot of errors by Claude, I had to reformulate my prompt because we did some things right, but there was a lot of errors as well. So I mainly said, take into account what we've done until now, and let me clearly say my goals. And I think we should leave my existing scraping logic separate as, with the DSVFUND scraping logic. They need to be 2 different files, and call them as a sub-process within the right virtual environment from my main bot py file, which is right here. I want this to be a specific sub-process. I initially merged codes, which was an error, so I told him don't do that again. And I sent him my whole files, as you can see right here. I sent him everything, all right, my setup, so for him to get pictures. And I also told him this is exactly what I need. An active process that checks the DSVFUND Twitter page in real time every 55 to 65 seconds, randomized. If they tweet something, store it in a JSON file and process it with another Python file for it to have, the ranking logic, the print statements, and everything. And I want this to be a continuous scan of their page. This is the main problem right now, as I don't want this to run once per day or something like that, because I need to get the information as soon as they tweet something. Tell me what we've done so far, what we accomplished, what needs to be corrected, and what needs to be done in the future, for him to just print me out whatever we need to do and me to read it to correct them if needed. So guys, this is a pure example of a prompt that you can, run with all types of products that you want to build, or anything Bittensor related or just coding related in general. As a vibe coder, you need to have, the reflex to prompt like this. So I just sent out my prompt. We'll see what he outputs me. All right, guys. So after 2 hours of debugging, Claude finally understands what I kind of need. So we have a new code base and I renamed it to DSV Monitor. We are going to track the DSVFUND once per minute, guys. It's coming to life. So we have all these different files right here that are communicating to each other to orchestrate all of this. So we have DSV Monitor that checks the page once per minute randomized, and it fetches the last 10 tweets and it puts it into a definition class DSV parser to check all kinds of filters and things of that nature to not get duplications. We have the DSV ledger function that adds or subtracts whatever the DSV fund buys or sells, and it updates that automatically. We have a DSV signal text file that alerts the main bot file, which checks the DSV signal every 5 seconds, and it reads the newly updated DSV ledger, creates a formatted Discord message, and posts it into my Discord channel by the ID. All right, so it's actually coming to life. So add this code right after daily digest. So copy that. So you see right here, I have 2 code blocks. So I need to add it under bot event nested, obviously. So we're just gonna space a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, Control V. Boom. So we just added our DSV monitor once per minute into our main bot Python file that is going to run once per minute. So this just indicates that, my file, which is right here, DSV monitor on the top, is actually running as a sub process properly. All right. So a lot more lines to add. So copy this line right here. This is the channel ID that my bot is going to issue the print statements. Open your PyCharm, find it right here and just add it. It's super easy. It's one button. Next up, we need to add the DSV signal alert that's going to tell our bot Py to actually do the print statement. So you're going to copy this whole code base right here. It doesn't matter if you don't understand completely. Learn it as you go, save some files, make yourself a cheat sheet, something. But I'm not some kind of genius because I'm making these videos. I was a realtor, and just bit by bit with willpower, I am able to vibe code interesting tools that are gonna make a killing in subnets. They even tell you where the code is. So find line 248, copy this, boom, and boom, line 248. So after this code block right here, couple spaces, Control V, it's that simple. And then Control S to save. You just added the DSV signal alert. Next up, every time you run your main bot file, which is right here, you obviously need a command to start your actual signal watcher. So you're gonna copy this code right here. So now find this piece of code right here. You can just open PyCharm, Control F, and paste it right here, boom. And we need to do something right there. So you're gonna copy this piece of code right here, which is the starter. And it says paste this right after. So we're just gonna space it out right here, and probably this is the starter. If not, signal watcher start, it's going to start it right here. And you now see the DSV monitor file is properly communicating, and the DSV signal watcher as well. So we're getting close to getting, the full script ready. All right, guys, so we're now testing the whole flow. We need to create a text file that is exactly typed like this and add the contents right here. So we're going to simulate a $1 investment into subnet 99 by the DSVFUND, which is going to trigger our DSV monitor file to talk to our bot file and actually tell the Discord bot token to issue a print statement right here. This is a test run to see, if my scraper works properly. But, as a vibe coder, you need to understand that everything is interconnected. And, if you do a test run, you're actually going to update the DSV investments JSON file with a faulty investment. So you actually need to remove it by hand later on. You just need to remove one line It's going to appear here, your fake investment. You just remove it and then you restart the whole process for it to work properly. So now we need to create the file, like I said, DSV underscore signal.txt. Boom, you create it quick. I only have 5 seconds. Paste and Control S. Okay, it said something, error processing signal, JSON code error. So I just explained whatever is going on. There's obviously more debugging to do. So I'll catch you guys later when I get to the bottom of this. And you see it right here on the terminal, DSV signal. Obviously it's fake, but everything is working nicely and properly. All right, guys, so as a vibe coder, you need to understand that everything is interconnected, and this is the most important part. So we need to see if the print statements will actually, update in real time as the JSON file, updates in real time as well. So you're gonna take this command right here, just the last line, it's the fake investment, and you are going to add it in the DSV investments JSON file. Just as if, DSVFUND invested $1 into subnet 99 like this, Control V. And you're going to remove this extra thing right here and you're going to save it. So now we just saved as if they just invested $1. My bot is stopped. So I now need to create another signal file as a test. So new file and name it exactly like this, DSV underscore signal.txt. While my bot is stopped, press enter. Cancel this and paste the matching investment into the signal file, just like the last timestamp right here, to see if the print is going to actually update with $1. So boom, Control S, save it as well. And then we need to run the bot to see if everything runs smoothly. So boom, run bot. And boom, you see the Discord notification right here. Let's see what it outputs. Boom, $1. So everything works properly. You see the fake subnet investment right here. So we now have a working script, guys. Congratulations. Bonus tip to optimize your script. As a good vibe coder, you need security backlogs and you need manual command prompts. So we're going to add a command called DSV now to be able to check our current portfolio without having to wait for the DSVFUND to actually tweet an investment. So take this code block right here and paste it directly underneath this one right here, just like that, and Control S to save. So this is just a little helper code block. And right now we just have to paste the command DSV now. You see it right here in the correct place. If someone in my Discord is not an admin with this ID, he can't really, process this command and is checking the portfolio. So copy this code and just add it into your own file. We see one bot command right here. We're just going to add another bot command. Boom, Control S. Let's minimize that, Control S. So the second bot command is right here, DSV now. This is just another command that I didn't mention in this video. And just type in right here, DSV now, to see what it does. And as you can see, there's more debugging to be done. There is something printed, but and as you can see, there's more debugging to be made. So it actually printed something when I ran DSV now, and error loading ledger, something happened right here. So I'll catch you guys on the other side. So here I just sent him the investment ledger with my, I just sent the investment ledger with whatever the Discord printed that wasn't right. And my terminal output with the last error, and how can we fix this? If that was the actual problem, this is pretty crazy. So let's just remove the little comma right here, and it removed the little error note on top. Control S again. And let's just restart the process once again to see if I can run the manual command. So boom, my bot is started. Let's try again, DSV underscore now. Boom, and everything works, ladies and gentlemen. I officially have a manual way of checking in real time DSVFUND's portfolio. So right now, as a great vibe coder, you need a fallback mechanism. Let's say the Bittensor bot prints something here that is not true because the script bugged, or it just didn't scrape properly or filter properly. And it says DSVFUND invested $3 million into subnet 997, for example. This is going to mess up your whole rankings, your whole portfolio investments, and your totals and things of that nature. So you need a fallback mechanism. We're going to add this helper function underneath the other helper functions, just so we can have two manual commands. So copy that. and paste it right underneath this helper function. Control save. And you see right here, we have the two manual helper functions, DSV now and DSV undo. And now we basically need to do the same thing, add the bot command DSV undo with just the admin rights and things of that nature. It tells you exactly what it does right here. And I double checked everything, so copy that. Find your other command DSV now and just space it out. And just Control V, boom, the second command is added. And just like that, you now have two security commands, DSV undo and DSV now. If you've made it this far, this simply shows that you have dedication, you have focusing ability, and you are going to make a killing into Bittensor. I'm just starting out and I'm constantly thinking, sitting on my chair in my room 16 hours a day because I'm literally obsessed by this ecosystem. That's why I'm determined to build stuff to help me win. Whew, I am gassed. Yo guys, my literal vibe coder brain is fried, but it was well worth it. We have a fully running script with automations, with portfolio trackers. We're now going to be able to track institutions and big whales. With that being said, I am going to open source whatever I've built on my GitHub, so you can check that out. Or if you want instant access and access to my general chat where we share a lot of nuggets with subnet investors and miners, you can directly join my private Discord alpha group. This was an amazing project. The best way to become a good vibe coder is actually strategize on what to build that you actually need. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you don't understand something, if you want me to cover a particular subnet, if you want me to vibe code something for you, or just talk about subnets in general or the Bittensor ecosystem, because I genuinely do think this is the future. There is a huge amount of opportunities into subnets right now, and I'm actually studying subnets 16 hours a week. I've dedicated my life to this because I believe in it wholeheartedly. Peace!